Hello, everybody. It's so good to see all the gorgeous faces. Thank you for joining us. We've got people, they come in a little bit after the call as well, so I'll just let people in as they arrive. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you. I'm going to start off a little differently than normal, and I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about why I wanted to have Adam and Ryan on this call. Pozotron came out, and we all know about it. It's been out for a while now. But about 6 months ago or so, I started asking people, I started hearing about it and thinking, wow, that sounds too good to be true. You know, I can use something, a tool that's going to proof my stuff. And then immediately I got a negative response. I had friends that were narrators saying, well, you know, there were problems with it. It came back with a few errors. It doesn't catch it all. And they made it sound like it was a faulty program, like it wasn't doing what it said it would do. And it put me off it. So I didn't pursue it anymore because, you know, you're busy. You're going to pursue the things that look like they're going to give you value for time rather than having to like go into a whole new program that obviously people are having problems with. And then a couple of months ago, I was on a Thursday call chatting with some narrators, and they were all talking about using Pozotron. And for the first time, people weren't saying, oh, there's this problem, there's that problem. They were saying they loved it. So I thought, well, you know, give this a try and see what it's all about. It has been a game changer. I am their biggest fan. I think they might have thought I was a little bit weird when I sent the initial email because I love Pozotron. And so I'm not even going to pretend this call isn't biased because I think they're the best thing since sliced bread and chocolate. But basically, I realized in retrospect that I think the people that were complaining about it missing things, or the complaints I heard was it missed a few things or it came back with false corrections. First of all, I wouldn't use a tool instead of a human ear. There are three kinds of books that I would work on. One to publishers, which I'm not going to be using Pozotron for because I'd have to ask them. I'd be wondering about copyright. Some people do, I'm sure I could, but it's easy for me to just ship it to the publishers. One to production companies, smaller production companies, where I'm supposed to send it, edited and mastered, and to ACX writers, where again, it has to be edited and mastered. If it has to be edited and mastered, I now will use Pozotron, no matter what. I will then have a proofer listen to it. But what Pozotron does for me is gives me a physical view of my narration. And it's also been amazing because I could hear little vocal tics and habits that I had that I was never aware of, that aren't problems and aren't something to get rid of, that a proofer is going to come back. But I am able to hear it myself and analyze it and be aware of it. It's actually changed my narration. I also, if anytime, and I don't care what manuscript you're working from, sometimes there are mistakes. The good ones, the big publisher ones, there are mistakes. I read through as if it weren't a mistake. Then I run a report. I mark it typo when I'm listening. I run a report. I have a professional itemized report of the 3 or 4, even if it's the word and, that I can then send back to the writer and say, here, I caught this as a courtesy, 3, 4 tiny mistakes your proofer might have missed. Really, really impresses the writers. They've been, you know, thank you so much for the extra service. Then if you start a book or it's a series and you've done that one in Pozotron as well, and there's a word that you're not sure of, you can search it. You do a word search, find out what chapter it's in, do a control find. You can search how you said the word in chapter 1. It's been life-changing. I get it to the proofer. I've got almost no mistakes. I'm aware of it's allowed me to take complete control of my narration in a physical way with a manuscript, and it's improved it's made me a better narrator, 100%. So saying that, I'm going to hand it over because I want you to meet the guys behind this miracle, life-changing, better than chocolate company. Again, I didn't say I wouldn't be biased. And I'll let you guys decide. Adam and Ryan, who would like to go first?
I can start off. My name's Adam Fritz. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Pozotron, and I'm really, really happy to be here today.
Thank you for joining us. So, how did you start with Pozotron? When did it first enter your consciousness? What's the story?
I joined the company full-time January 4th of this year, but I was doing a bit of consulting work for them towards the end of last year. I come from a similar size software company that serviced the gaming industry before this. So a lot of the same challenges, a lot of the same types of clients, just in a completely different industry. I became acquainted with our CEO, Jake Poznansky. I just saw the job posting online and applied, and we had a lot of really great conversations leading up to this. And it says a lot about him and the company he's built that the vast majority of our questions were about ethics and business values, rather than about business development or software development. So it says a lot about the company. I just felt a really great fit between the values of the company and my own values. So.
And what is your kind of like purpose when you go to work? Because you know how everyone says these days, have a why. What is your why with Pozotron personally?
Solving problems. So I realized a long time ago, a couple of things. One, I get really bored when I'm doing the same thing day after day after day. And that's what's so great about working at a small company and be a software company is there's always any number of problems that come up day to day, week to week that require specific creative solutions. And it's a combination of working with great colleagues and teammates like Ryan, or solving a problem for a customer all by myself. So my why is definitely solving problems.
And you and Ryan are friends, aren't you? Like, do you guys hang out for drinks after work?
Well, we're separated by a few thousand miles. He's in Michigan and I'm in Vancouver, Canada. So we've been working together every day for 4 months now, and we've never met in person. So our company, a lot of people don't know, our company is geographically diverse. So I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. Jake, our CEO, is in Seattle, just outside of Seattle. Ryan's in Schwartz Creek, Michigan. And our dev team and our customer success are all located in Europe. So we're completely remote global team. For the most part, none of us have ever actually met in person, but hopefully once everyone's vaccinated, that'll change.
That's a surprise because I pictured you guys being mates. You look like best friends kind of thing.
We talk probably 5-6 times every day, including weekends often. So
yeah, so much for remote, it's constant contact.
Well, that brings me to Ryan. Tell us about you and how you came to the company.
So 9 years ago, I was in engineering school in LA. I walked and took a bus and a subway and another bus to go apply at Dion to be an audio editor.
Oh, wow.
And I got a job from Deb and Bob, and I was working for them for 8 years. I made it through editing and proofing and admin. And believe it or not, Jake had met with my boss, Jamie, and Jamie's like, you should check out this software called Pozotron. And I heard about it and I shook my fist and I'm like, this is nonsense. We don't need this technology. I'm the lead QC proofer. I'm really good at what I do. I put myself up against Pozotron dozens of times and it beat me every time. It found
stuff. I love that you came from that side. So you get it, that it's that a tool isn't necessarily going to, because you picture it, taking a million proofers' jobs away and them being like in sleeping bags on the street.
Nope. It was my safety net and I learned how to use it. And for a year, I helped Dion kind of incorporate it into their workflow. And then at one point, the same thing that I was doing for Dion for Pozotron, I just kind of did the industry shift over. And 9 months ago, I joined Pozotron. And so it's been a really interesting shift and no 2 days have been the same. And kind of an unusual situation. As Jake was hiring the new COO, he's like, well, you get to interview who's going to be your next boss. I'm like, that's fantastic. He said, if you don't like these people that I send towards you, let me know. And Adam was the first one that made it through Jake. And I'm like, that'll totally work.
Okay, so you all work remotely. What is your why? What do you consider your kind of mission when you go to work every day?
So I have a vision for the future of what it means to produce an audiobook. And every day I get to hear from narrators what they're working toward. And I mix it in with my vision. And then I tell the developers, and I tell Jake, and I tell Adam, and they're like, we can't do that, or let's do it tomorrow. So it wouldn't really matter what industry I was in. I like the idea of looking 5 years forward and then moving backwards from that. So everything that we're doing at Pozotron is moving toward my understanding of how awesome it would be for narrators and authors and whomever to have control over, like you were talking about, that control over your narrative.
Yeah.
That's what Pozotron is moving towards: project management tools, preparation tools, analysis tools. And we're changing every week towards that. So my why is watching that happen and seeing if I can nudge it in whatever direction I feel like that day.
I've seen those changes being announced even since I've started using it, and that's just been recent. So a couple of questions. The first question is, and I know that only because in the peripherally, I'm a narrator. I really shouldn't get stuck on a word like that. I've heard people say that worry about their information being stuck on the website. I meant to look into how to get the information off the website. I know there's a process we have to go through. What is the system with that? And because let's talk about people being, I don't know which one of you would prefer to address this, but about people being afraid of their voices being used, of the material being taken. What is in place and how is that handled from Pozotron's side?
We've actually just updated again our terms of service and our privacy policy. Just cleaning up a few things, but mid to late last year, we'd heard from a lot of narrators about this concern. A lot of narrators in publishing houses and a few other groups. And so what we did is we added a few things. One, we added wording to allow us called permitted uses. And that is when you upload your data, Pozotron is allowed to do three things. One, use the data to provide you the service. And in this case, the service is be able to proof your text and your audio through Pozotron. Number two, our product is based on a artificial intelligence machine learning. And what that means is it uses all this data to keep improving itself. Number two, so we use the data only to keep improving, making it more accurate, making the suggestions you get that we call annotations more accurate. And then number three, to troubleshoot. We need your data. If you guys come across a problem, we need to be able to look at the data to be able to tell you what's wrong and how to fix it. Those are the only, it's very, very specific, very black and white. Those are the only three things your data can be used for when it's uploaded. And then last year also added the data deletion option, which when you go into your project screen, you click the little gear symbol at the bottom, click delete project. It's 4 clicks of a mouse, and within 24 hours, off the top of my head, that'll be completely deleted from our system. So
we have no easy. I thought it was a big, long process.
No, it's about four clicks of a mouse, and it'll be completely deleted. Won't be used for training, anything like that. So yeah, we're a big believer in privacy, and in as I said, a great number of the interview questions I had to take this leadership role at the company were about data and ethics and privacy and that kind of thing. So there are companies out there looking to create robot narrators. That's not us. We are looking to provide a tool and a service that makes people more efficient, more accurate. Our product is to help people, not to replace people.
Yeah, and I have to confess, because I listened to a podcast. I mean, I'm torn because I was a big Twilight Zone fan, the Jetsons, you're going to have a robot someday. I mean, we're doing Zoom, the video call, that was like, would blow your mind a few years ago. But I'm a big believer in all that. But I did see a podcast with a writer talking to a guy from Google saying that they were going to do AI. And she says, yeah, and if I'm annoyed by the narrator's accent, I can just pick 20 different narrators' voices. I want 20 different accents. And as a narrator, my soul died just a tiny bit when I heard that. And so, yeah, there are companies out there that are doing AI. And he said, we're not trying to replace human voices. But of course, any intelligent person is aware that, yeah, there's a chance, the market's going to be flooded with a whole bunch of AI, but I'm also an optimist. And I think that don't turn technology into our enemy, right? I mean, use it and learn from it and take advantage of it as much as we can, is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it's natural, the fear about AI or machine learning or any new technology. I mean, from Skynet in the Terminator series, all the way up to everything that's going on in the last bunch of years with Cambridge Analytica and all of these other big data issues, is that there's a lot of uncertainty and it's a very complex thing, and people by nature are either conditioned to fear it or fear what they don't fully understand. I was listening to a podcast yesterday about cryptocurrency and non-fungible tokens. And I listened to this podcast for 45 minutes and then listened to it again. And I still have no idea what they're talking about. I'm not necessarily scared about it, but it's super complex. And I think as people, we're conditioned to either fear or shy away from the things that we don't fully understand.
Yeah, but I think as freelancers, we have a responsibility to get over that. Because if we don't adapt, we're not going to make it.
And that's our hope. And that's why Ryan's with the companies. He, as you said, he comes from the other side of it. He's done all the jobs that our customers have done. So he can help them through that. He can help people through that process and integrate it into their workflow properly and help it be such a powerful tool that it can be if it's used properly.
Okay, so I have a question for Ryan. Now, I'm going to just say it straight out. So the people that were telling me, because I have not experienced this, I've had Pozotron go through it, and then I've had people proof it, and nobody's cut anything that Pozotron hasn't. I kept having people tell me it doesn't catch everything. Why do you think that's happening? Do you think it's because of accents, or because of maybe somebody's speech patterns, or they're just not using it right?
There's a few things that can happen with the word everything. And we would get one set of feedback that said, oh, Pozotron didn't catch the fact that the narrator said this as a statement when it's supposed to be a question. Like, that's never going to be something that we pick up on.
Right.
So directorial stuff, it's never gonna know context things, like if a red truck turns into a blue truck in a different chapter. That's not something that Pozotron picks up. So if a proofer was used to getting a report with everything on there, including those kind of directorial things, and they go through and they say, well, Pozotron mixed this context stuff, and they missed the way the statement was said, and we're not always going to catch noises in the background either. So there's parts of proofing that include stuff that Pozotron doesn't do, and it never will. So it's that replacement thing. If you're expecting a replacement, then it's not going to catch everything.
Yes, so you just need the human ear. That's common sense. So they're not missing actual words.
No, and the other part of it is if it went through a few layers and the first person who did the proofing said, okay, well, Pozotron caught that this word was different, but it doesn't change the meaning. So you hit the okay button and it goes through. And then the next person came through and said, okay, well, this has been checked with Pozotron. I have the report, but they missed this one where they say and instead of on. So Pozotron missed that. And we've gone back, Adam and I have both gone back into previous reports and been like, all right, we missed something, what is it? And it's almost always that someone okayed it earlier on.
And also, as a narrator, how many of you guys have looked up a word in 4 different places and found 4 different pronunciations? And I still, to this day, cannot get BOW. I cannot get it right. No matter how it turns up in a sentence, I'm wrong. No matter how many times I look it up. I mean, I know that when you bow, it's bow. And any other way, I'm in trouble. And how could I expect Pozotron, I think, to...
It'll never find that.
I mean, I don't want to come across as creepy fangirl at this point, to be honest with you, but I haven't yet found anything I dislike or can be skeptical about. I swear I'll look for something. So far, I'm still creepy fangirl.
Well,
okay.
If you do find anything, please let us know, because I'm a big believer in constructively communicated negative feedback, because it's the only way we get better. Most of our best software development features have come from either a current customer saying this feature can be improved, or sometimes it's this feature sucks and you need to go rebuild it, which is actually much better feedback than oh yeah, this is great, and then someone doesn't use it. Because we're, as a person, as a company, as a product, it's only going to get better if you get negative feedback, because it's just an opportunity to improve. I say to my 5-year-old all the time, mistake's only a mistake if you repeat it and you don't learn from it. So if someone points out a mistake, it's an opportunity to improve.
When you look at your billing on there and you see I have the one where you pay like 20 something a month and then you get like 4 hours.
Yeah, the smart rollover. Yeah.
When you look at that and it says the credits, I remember thinking it's a bit confusing. Like, is it showing me how many of the 4 hours I've used so far? It's not, is it? It's just going to show me once I go over the 4 hours. It would be so helpful to be able to see how much you've used.
We're actually, so right now that has become active now, where you can see 2 things. You can see your credit balance, and credits are minutes you've already paid for, or that we granted you for free, that you haven't used yet.
Okay.
And your billed minutes, or sometimes it's called subscription minutes, are the minutes that you've used but have not yet paid for, that you'll get charged on your next invoice. So now when you go onto your billing page, it's 2 buckets. You can see credit minutes available, and something to the effect, I don't remember the exact wording, but your number of minutes of audio uploaded in the current billing cycle that will be charged for on your next invoice. So that's a great example of that. Was actually, we had that exact same question from a customer, and we went in, and a week later we'd had that added into the billing page.
And it's a bit cheeky. I mean, I could have emailed customer service, but the books I'm doing now, I can't do on Pozotron. So I just haven't had time. But so that's the only thing I can think of. Pronunciations. That's it. So what are the new things that you're working on? Do you want to tell us a little bit about those? I saw an email with all these announcements about analysis and all this, and again, haven't had time to figure them out. So
Ryan, you want to take this one?
What's going on?
Do you want me to talk about the script prep stuff?
Yeah, yes, please.
That's our new big one. And it kind of stemmed from a suggestion a few months ago. Someone said, hey, you guys have this pronunciation guide. It would be really neat if you turned it into a repository for character accents. And so we kind of went down a rabbit hole and said, what kind of software is out there that helps people with script prep? And there really isn't any. Everybody's got their own little methods. Mm-hmm. So we've been collecting how people highlight things, how they keep character references, how they do their labeling and their file collection and their word lists, and putting it into this big bucket of suggestions for poor Ramon, one of our developers. And he's like, oh no. And so pretty soon we're going to have this sort of script prep zone where you can get your word list. You can figure out which characters are in your book most often by having, how many times is their name said. You don't even have to upload any audio. You just put your script in and it's going to start parsing out what you'll probably need to know. And we'll have it so you can record a description of a character in that character's voice. And every time you need to reference it, you just go click a button. And then after you've uploaded your audio, you can even tag, okay, this is when John spoke, and make sure to, you know, tag that as part of that character's repository, sort of like a living character reference. So in your next book, you know what that character sounded like, or you can share the project and the author, or anyone else can go back and say, okay, here's the little character zone. This is what we can build with. And again, it still requires people for all this, but I've seen how people use, you know, markers in old sessions and MP3s in the bottom of Pro Tools sessions, and everybody does it differently. Dropbox, oh my gosh.
I record, before I record a book, I record a conversation with all the characters introducing themselves to each other and explaining what their problem or issue is in the books. And then I go back to that recording and keep it for future books. And I have so much fun with that. I think I might still do that, but I like the idea of being able to pick up a character straight from Pozotron and hear their voice in a different section of a book.
And there was even a suggestion associated with that we do a search at the beginning for words that describe how characters talk, like shyly or loudly or Scottish, and have just kind of a reference bucket, and it goes through the whole script and tags them, so you can see just by scrolling through where this might be, and it'll spit out a marked PDF of your pronunciation guide words, any kind of words that suggest performances. So everything that people say, it might not happen right away, but our poor developers have a laundry list of what's the number at right now? 150 things?
No, it's under 100 now, luckily.
Oh, okay.
We're a big believer in what we call iterative development, which is you roll out version. First, you do some focus groups, talk to people what they want out of a feature. For example, the pronunciation guide, we did a bunch of focus groups and some surveys. Roll out version 2 with that feedback, get a bunch more feedback, roll out version 3. That's the only way you build something that's better is, you know, you use all the data you have, put something together based on your best guess, get feedback, improve it, get feedback, improve it. And then finally, Roman says, no more. I don't want any more.
But you think about this, though, it's all of this together, right, is because I can see a narrator thinking, well, if I have to pay a proofer anyway, then why am I paying Pozotron? And then I'm paying a proofer. But the thing is, you're paying, to me, the extra, it's worth it because the extra benefit of I know this sounds stupid, but going back to a writer that's paid a fortune for editing and being able to tell you've got at such and such moment, this little typo is massive. It impresses them with your attention to detail that you're a professional and on top of it. And then just being able to go back and choose moments and pick any word I've said in the entire book out and hear it. You can't do that with audio. You can't do that. You have to listen to the whole chapter and you know, who has time for that? That's massive. But if you put all this in, you know, the research, it's pulling things out, you're able to hear the character voices, then right there is the reason to pay the small extra fee as well as your proofer. Yep. Right? You're giving them, you're not just proofing, you're the repository of our work, basically.
And a great example is we heard from an editor recently who was doing a 3-book series that was every character, I think it was like 1,500 pages of text, and every character was a Greek god or some sort of Greek mythological character name. And the narrator mispronounced one of the minor characters' names that came up 32 times in 1,500 pages. And he, out of the blue, he didn't know about our scan occurrences feature. And every narrator I've talked to has had some story like this. The editor said, this is going to be 6 days of me listening through all of this audio and trying to find it and make sure I don't miss anything. But we showed him this feature, and with, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute worth of work, he clicked the scan, gave him every single mention of that character's name, which he can then annotate into a pickup, or he can just export a marker list right into his DAW for every mention of that character. And these are the kind of things that, technology these are the kind of problems that technology should be fixing. You don't need someone to spend 6 days or 5 days or whatever looking through that to find 32 mentions of a word. This is why technology exists, is to make problems like this much easier to solve.
God, real time. I'm getting nothing back from the proofer. So that like couple of hours when the proofer comes back to you with pickups and you have to, I don't know how you do it depending on the person. I was in the habit, I would record all the pickups at once. I'm quite good at like matching tone, and then I just go edit them in. How much saved time that is? It's done. By the time I'm finished with my day, I've done my pickups. Well, I mean, maybe I'll have more if a proofer ever comes up with it, but it hasn't happened so far. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's, yeah, real-time editing. Amazing. Amazing. Not that I'm annoyed at those people that told me for 6 months.
We've explained it as kind of like a spell check. You know, if you're writing something as an author and you type a word wrong, Microsoft Word is going to do the spell check and you're going to get the little mark underneath it. Part of our design is to kind of be like that quick spelling and grammar check, but for narrators and audio in whatever style of chunks that they want. So that's one of the more useful ways to think about it, is just something to help you out to get it right as soon as possible. We've tried to figure out how much pickups cost, and just as an abstract number, and it's a really neat exercise. But any way you kind of slice it, the earlier you catch pickups, because you have to record them anyway. You know, if it's a pickup, it's a pickup, whether you catch it at the beginning or next month. But we've kind of calculated that the earlier you find pickups, the less it costs the system as a whole, because there's fewer people running into it and having to check it and having to tell someone else and put it back down the chain. So finding your pickups quickly makes them almost have no cost at all. And that's a big value add.
And confidence wise, I think Anna's on this call. She'll attest to the fact that I was always terrified, like, because they say proofers only are 98%. There's human beings make mistakes. It's natural. But now if I've got Pozotron, in addition, I am so confident in my work now. So when I say to someone, I know I'm delivering a professional product, I know it. I mean, I'm actually cocky about it now because I know it's good. Whereas before, you lived in fear of that little mistake slipping in and looking stupid. And I know we all have pickups our whole lives, and it's normal and natural, but it still bothers every single narrator I know. You still feel like you're the worst person on earth, and how did you miss it? And you must look stupid. So yeah, and Anna is right. Hashtag adds confidence, and confidence is everything in this gig.
And it really is. That is also, I got an email from one of our customers who basically said, thank you so much, because, he basically said, look, I just submitted a 10-hour book and I had 2 pickups because I used Pozotron. And, that's just, I'm in sales. The more accurate you are, the easier it's going to be to sell it next time. So that's one of the things that we hear a lot from narrators, is that it's just helping people continue to sell themselves and their services because they're more accurate, and it's less challenging for the people they're submitting their work to receive it and process it.
And you can relax and do your job and act. And I think that the more of the extra crap we can get rid of, do you know what I mean? The more of the issues and all the worries about the business side and the technical side, then you can act and enjoy yourself and have fun, knowing that it's going to be fine in the end. Whereas before because I punch and roll and I'll go back and I'll fix a mistake, and any little thing, oh my God, did I slur that? Now I don't even bother, and Pozotron catches it. And then I can go back and do it in the end, and it takes 2 seconds.
Yep. So
yeah, heaven, absolutely loving it. My mind is still going back to what Ryan said. I'm curious, tiny bit off subject. You know how you said that you look 5 years into the future and then you work your way back?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever tried that on actual real life goals? Because I've heard that thing before. I've always wanted to do it and implement it, but like I thought nobody in the world actually does that. Or have you even done it in business and had it worked? Have it work?
Nothing ever works, ever. What it is a way to point toward a goal in the meantime. Because who knows what the audiobook industry is going to be like in 5 years? I mean, who knows what it's going to be like next year? But moving backwards from the idea of a narrator being able to do their perfect performance once and have it be done. Like, you're so confident in your tools. You're so confident in what you have, because the ratio of how much work goes into every hour of a published book is just bonkers. I've seen people say anywhere between 8 and 40. But my
40?
Vision, oh yeah, when you have enough layers of people,
wow,
it will go crazy. But imagine that there's a really good book that a narrator wants to work through. They're comfortable with the material. They sit down in a quiet space with a tech-savvy microphone and software that gives them feedback in real time. Pozotron Live, basically. And will tell you, you don't even have to upload it because it's working all the time. And it will tell you, without even running a report, go back to this part and record on the fly. And so you're doing your narration, you're doing your pickups, it's doing the noise reduction, it's doing, any kind of pacing that's totally off. Like, okay, everything longer than 5 seconds, take it down to 3. But other than that, keep the natural pacing, have an anti-deep breath that actually works, And then as soon as you're done, you hit a button and it's distributed. Like, that's my 5-year vision.
Wow.
Because it incorporates all the best parts of your performance and all the best parts of technology. There's no voice synthesis. There's no, there's no artificiality. It's just using the tools that are out there more in real time, aiming for a specific standard that comes from listeners. Like, this is what I expect from this kind of book. Dial in those expectations. And, when technology gets good enough that you can have that on an iPad, you can sit and read your book, and a 10-hour book will be done in 12 hours, and then you're done. That's my vision for the future.
I'm loving technology even more after this call. And I mean, the thing is, narrators, we want to get, I think we all have our little perfectionist souls. I mean, we want it right. It's our voice. You know what I mean? And I know that there are a lot of new people, but you soon learn what it goes, all the things you're talking about, the breath and the noise and the, I don't care what booth you have. God forbid construction starts right outside your window.
Leaf blowing. Leaf blowing is the best.
So do you miss the editing, and do you miss the old stuff you used to do? You're doing it for a long time, weren't you?
I burned out pretty hard. And I think the best math that I figured out was that I edited or proofed somewhere between 300 and 450 books.
Wow.
And of every possible type, multi-narrator, punch and roll, straight record, everything that came through. There was one with 27 different actors that can align on Pro Tools, and you had to realign everything after every edit. I leave that to the new people coming in.
I think it is the job where people do burn out pretty quickly, though, don't they?
I don't know too many editors who started when I did that are still doing it. There's some amazing engineers, the old Pro Tools folks that are doing the high-end stuff. And the new people coming in have to kind of learn on the fly. But another kind of interesting part of what Pozotron does is, to be a proofer before, you had to have hardcore editing experience. And once you were good enough at that, you could proof someone else's hardcore editing. But you still had to have the experience with the DAW. And now you can just be a really good listener. And it's opening up a brand new set of people to be able to do amazing proofing jobs, because they don't have to have 5 different apps open, and they don't have to be super familiar with how a DAW works to make it efficient for them.
Which is just another example of the technology doesn't necessarily cost people jobs. It opens up different jobs.
Yep.
You know, I just don't think people are going to get anywhere without being adaptable and just denying change. You know, it's here, might as well use it.
And it'll get better the more, especially with negative feedback, like Adam said. We really appreciate that more than you would think. You know, when narrators take the time to say, this is the problem that I'm having with this, we're like, more, you know, really dig in so that we can figure out, because we're not making audiobooks. It's for you.
Guys, anyone, any feedback, anyone, any questions, any feedback, type it in the box.
Yeah.
All I'm getting is everyone likes you guys. So
things that are terrible, like, let us know what you want to see, because our whole purpose is to create exactly what you want to the best of our ability.
Yeah. So, but I mean, anybody that's come to you with complaints, it looks like they've been addressed as well, right?
For the most part, again, to the best of our ability. We had the data deletion option came out of a whole bunch of conversations before I joined the company with the union about a lot of that stuff. You know, I'm a big believer in community engagement and making sure that the stakeholders, whether that's a customer or a company owner or whatever, have a say in the direction of the product. So yeah, we spend a lot of time. I mean, I reached out to Anna and met her after reading one of our articles online, because I wanted to learn. We just launched Spanish, and I just wanted to learn, I just wanted to learn a little bit more about her knowledge of the Spanish audiobook market. So I'm a big believer in just talking. Almost always no harm comes out of a conversation. And we've had conversations with people who really, really dislike us, and either they've come out of the conversation at least not hating us, and somewhere in the maybe not actively disliking us, but you know, at least we communicated and they heard both sides of the story. And if we can change their mind, that's great. If not, at least they would have heard our side of the story, whether they take it for face value or not. So.
He's great, Ryan. So Adam's probably a big part of the reason everyone's so lovely and gets along, and customer service is like happy people, huh? It's like, well, because the thing is, you want a manager like that. You want somebody that's like a people person that listens and cares and talks. And Anna loved you. Anna came to me. I was like, yes, please. I love Pozotron. So
I'm a big believer in a couple things in business. One, it's a lot easier and cheaper to keep a happy customer than it is to go replace a customer with someone who's replace someone who's left your company. And two, it hit me very quickly from mostly my conversation with Ryan at how tight knit and networked especially the narrator community is. And that, you know, our best salespeople, the best way to grow a company is have an army of, just like you, Daniela, army of very happy narrators who love our product, who are going to go say in those Facebook groups, or at some point in the future when we can sit down for a coffee or a beer together in person, to say, you know, I'm using the service and it's great, it's easy to use, and it's making me better.
Oh yeah, I've got your back. Nobody's going to say a word about Pozotron around me.
That's how we're going to grow our company, right? And what I said about what I tell my son about, you know, a mistake is an opportunity to improve. That's reality. As sometimes with a customer, if you fix a really complex problem for them quickly, they're actually going to like you more than if the problem never happened, because not only because you're being responsive to them, you show that you care. You know, my biggest goal for Ryan, for the benefit he can provide our company, is just engaging with the community, hearing from them, being present. You know, we're a sponsor of the APA. We are trying to engage with people to not only selfishly grow our business, but because we actually care about providing software that makes audiobooks better. It's a really powerful, creative tool that I'm a I may be new to the industry, but I've been listening to them for quite some time. And, our goal is to make the industry and the art form better through technology.
But it's not growing your business, but by growing your business, you're offering a benefit to the people that you're getting to know, and there's no way you can work with a community as close as, and I don't normally do this unless it's questions, but I'll tell you some of the comments here. So in response to any negative feedback, so far so good. I'm loving the updates and the new prep stuff. The adjective search will be epic. Looking forward to that. You might be ending up with emails long before your poor developer has it. The whole business honestly. Is about communication. We all want to work with good people and products that make our lives easier. Thank you. And then, yes, you thought gamers were persnickety and chatty. But I love that. It's both of you, because Ryan said that about being burned out about editing. I think it feels that way to me, that you two have landed right. Do you get that feeling? You've landed right where you're meant to be right now. Like, it's not like I moved here and, I'm trying to make it. It feels like you're both in the exact spot where you can do what you do well, really well. Do you feel that way?
With very limited red tape, for sure. I learned a long time ago. Most of my career has been in small companies. I struggle with having a good idea that can't go forward because of X, Y, or I'll say Z, even though we say Z in Canada, X, Y, or Z. But we're a small team. We're a small team that can work really quickly if we have a good idea that's actionable. And that's, I think, what is the most fun, is that at no point is there no, this is the way this isn't how we do things here. This is, even though it's a good idea, we're not going to do it. It's just, you have a good idea, whether it's myself or Jake as, the leaders of the company, or one of our most junior developers. If you have a good idea and you can put a business case in place, let's go do it.
But the thing is, it's going to be this is going places. So how long are you going to be able to hold on to that? I worked for a large corporate company, and you're right, you completely disappear. You become a nameless, faceless person. It doesn't matter what you give to the company. So are you guys going to be able to hold on to that? Because this is going to fly. Audiobooks are only getting bigger. Audiobook narrators are only getting more savvy, and the demand and the need is going to grow really fast. How are you guys going to hang on to that, do you think?
Definitely. One of the things that most intrigued me about the company, beyond the great product market fit and what an awesome team they have, is that Jake, our CEO, before he had someone, he's an amazingly talented software developer and has grown and sold a previous company before. So he knows how a business runs, but he used these, much like Pozotron, he used tools like Pozotron to automate things and make tasks that in many other companies are completely manual and frustrating, to allow you to scale really quickly without adding dozens of employees. So yes, our goal is to grow. We've got a team of 5 developers right now. The goal would be to have a lot more developers and more people like Ryan to talk to you wonderful narrators all the time. But luckily, the thing is, Jake did a really good job of building the foundations of the business really, really smartly, so that we have all these tools in place where if our business, we've already grown probably 30% from the beginning of the year. If we continue to grow on this trajectory, that it's not like we're going to have this crazy scramble where we can't keep up with the volume of support requests or anything like that without hiring 10 new people. We're trying to approach everything at being ready to scale before the growth actually happens. So then you never have that, I'm trying to think of how to say this without a 4-letter word, oh crap moment, even though that's a 4-letter word.
Yeah, that when the new stepwife shows up on the doorstep.
Yeah.
Exactly. That moment where you're like, I have no idea what to do because I'm not ready for this level of support requests or traffic through our servers and our servers crash. We're always constantly trying to do that, maybe not 5 years ahead, but 5 months to a year ahead, where we're ready for that next step before it happens. Because if you don't, it's a good problem to have when you're growing too fast to keep up with, but it's a hard problem to solve.
And then the other thing is, I think the minute you hear that when you hear that Ryan has creds like that, because that's hardcore in this industry. Everyone knows Dion. Everyone wants to work with them. Everyone, they don't mess around. So when you hear that, you know that it's not just a tech company coming in saying they can help you, but not getting the business, because there's nobody that would know the business like the guy that worked at Dion. Or, you know what I mean? I think sounds like Jake.
Yes.
Brought in the right people to do the right jobs. You know what I mean?
He also engaged, like Dion, for example, is one of our biggest customers. They had a huge say in the direction of the company back when they started 2 years ago at giving us feedback on all these features and improving them and hearing from their own narrators and their own editors and helping us iterate the product. The company would be nowhere near where it is today without their input and feedback.
Is there anything else you guys want to, because I always traditionally at the end of the call, and I'd love to hear each of you, I like to leave for the people that are watching this YouTube video 60, 70 years from now, I'd like to leave final words of wisdom or something you'd like people to know that they might not understand, or something exciting that's coming up, or something they complain about that you wish they'd shut up about that you already addressed. Anything. I'll put you guys in the headlights. Who would like to go first?
I have a good one.
Okay.
When I was my last few months at Dion, somewhere in there, I ran across a message from one of the narrators in the threads that said, hey, by the way, can I perform this on Discord? And it wasn't directed toward me. It was just through my eyes, like, what is this? And whoever it went to said, I don't think so. I don't know what Discord is. But I followed this link, and it was Avon's article about, Avon Shore's
Discord.
article about Discord. And my eyes shot up. I'm like, what is this? And I followed that link and I read the article, and I went to, the narrator nook and found the Haven. And that was the quickest way for me to understand how narrators worked. Because even being an editor and a proofer for 8 years, how many narrators had I talked to? None.
Wow.
That's not part of the editing and proofing job. They keep you separated to a degree that there's not any communication. So that was one of the first times that I'd seen narrators work. And I got to know the community there, and the connections that I made and how I understood the community as a whole from being on Discord for a month or two was what helped me get this job with Pozotron, because I knew what I was asking for. Even though I'd brought the technology to Dion for engineers and the production side, I didn't really know what it meant for the narrators. So Discord and seeing people over there was what opened me up to this new part of the culture. So if I was going to pass something on to people listening, if you see little threads where you can go, observe and interact with a welcoming community, because the audiobook industry really is, just go wander over there. And it's funny, the first time you log in, the first thing everybody says is, who are you? Okay. And that was my introduction to a lot of people and a lot of interesting things. And so that dramatically changed my trajectory through the culture, is just going somewhere that I saw a piece of information about. So whatever yours is, when you see something to follow, check it out, because it might really change how you view things.
I love that. I'm always the biggest proponent of try it. Always try it. Don't suck it. And I really have been wanting to eat my words, because I've had the excuse that Clubhouse isn't available to Android people. But now May 1st, it's going to be available. And I've been telling everyone, oh, I'd love to. It's just that I'm an Android person. So now I'm going to have to eat my own words and actually go check it out, like I promised.
It's cool. I like the visual aspect of seeing narrators on Discord, but the conversations on Clubhouse are awesome too.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a try. I will. I did try Discord, but at some point I had to accept that I was only doing it to try different outfits on and put my makeup on. And that wasn't really in the spirit of it. And I'd spend the whole time chatting with friends and completely forget that I was supposed to be working. So don't think I'm temperamentally suited. But thank you. I think that's very wise advice. And we're all guilty of not following our curiosity, you know, and I think it's massive. Adam, can we put you in the headlight?
That's actually a perfect segue to what I was going to say. So it's like I told you in advance. I think my best advice that, quite frankly, I learned from my wife is just the concept of a growth mindset and how important it is. And we're raising two little boys who are 3.5 and 5.5-ish. And, you know, I believe very strongly that never be afraid to try something within reason. Don't go jump off the top of a building or something, but, you know, never be afraid to try something new. But it's equally as important to try things as it is to then go back and, hey, did I like that? Did that work for me? What can I change about it? It's that not only the growth mindset, but that iterative, I talked before about iterative development. Use that in your own life. Go try something, evaluate it, change it. Try something, evaluate it, change it. From your personal relationships to new hobbies, to raising children, to work. The concept of the growth mindset and then that iterative change thinking is really important. And, you know, one of the coolest things about working with our customers I've found is that it's been really unique to hear that people use Pozotron in like hundreds of different ways. There's not one single way that it gets used in people's audiobook workflow. And that our most successful customers have been the ones who are willing to go change something and evaluate it and then change it again and then evaluate it. And eventually you won't get to perfection, but you'll get close-ish. But that's only going to happen through that trial and error and evaluation. And I think a lot of people would be well suited, myself probably included, to just do that in all areas of their life, because that's the only way you're going to get better.
I keep going back to, I'm so going to use that 5-year thing. So going to try that. I'm going to redo all my goals tomorrow morning. I can't thank you guys enough for coming on this call. You've taken your time. You've been so generous with the information, and thank you, Anna Clements, so much for reaching out to Adam and connecting us. And believe me, I'm still that creepy fangirl. You guys are never going to hear the end of it. Pozotron is the bomb. You guys are wonderful.
You'll find something, but now you know you can call us.
I can, and stay small and stay lovely, you guys. I have this image of this like whole, but you know where that comes from? Not just you guys. I can't remember her name. I'm embarrassed to say, but your customer service rep,
Daria.
Yes. The fastest response, the friendliest response, immediate. Anytime you reach out. It reminds me of the old days before the recession when there was like customer service and everything. Stay that way.
Next time, ask for a picture of Sheldon, her French bulldog. She'd be happy.
Yeah. Okay, I might be, because we might be looking at getting a puppy one day. So thank you so much, guys. So will we see pictures of you guys on your website soon?
Very soon, within the next month or so. Our goal is to do more of this, and you know, some of the initial perception of this big scary tech company looking to steal our data, not at all what we're trying to do. So you'll see a lot more things about, you know, who our team is and what we're all about, because we are a small company that's really passionate about doing what we're doing. So we're going to try and tell that story a bit better on our website.
Well, once your poor developer guy works through the 100 or so things, let me know. I'd love to have you guys back on and talk us through all the new options.
Maybe we'll bring Roman with us next time.
Yes.
He'd love it.
I would love that if they're still talking to you at that point.
He's pretty good natured. I think
yes,
he'll still be talking.
It's a plan. I shall keep you guys to it. Bye, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining. Bye, Ryan. Bye, Adam. Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Rhythm song. Come on, everybody, tap along. First you scrub a dub, then you tap and rub. You might have to yell when you hear the bell ring out loud and long. Oh,